We're delighted to have Jim O'Toole, Daniels Distinguished Professor of Business Ethics at the University of Denver, with us today at the Markkula Center for Applied Ethics. Jim, you've been studying the concept and the phenomenon of conscious capitalism that's being much discussed today, promoted by John Mackey of Whole Foods. What is conscious capitalism?
Well, what it really is a way in which all of the concerns about corporate ethics, starting with Enron and all the way through today with BP and Goldman Sachs, the way in which people have tried to resolve this by saying there is a form of capitalism that actually is virtuous, and that it is not inherent in the system that you have ethical lapses. Mm-hmm. And so a number of companies, not just Whole Foods, but Trader Joe's, the Container Store, some older corporations like W.L. Gore and Southwest Airlines, a couple dozen of these who've really had very, very admirable records, have come together and work together to promote certain kinds of practices. And what is amazing about it is that it's really caught on in business schools. And we see at least 4 or 5 major universities almost a complete commitment on the part of the MBA students to this approach.
Mm-hmm. What are the core elements of conscious capitalism?
Well, the first one is that there's a higher purpose, and that is that these companies understand that profits are absolutely necessary, but they are not the end. They are rather the means to some higher end. All of them have a very clear stakeholder orientation in which it's recognized that corporations have responsibilities to a variety of different constituencies, not just to shareholders, and particularly not just to shareholders in the short term. Shareholder responsibility is very important, but they're thought of more as owners, as long-term owners, rather than as speculators. They also all have cultures that are both ethical and sustainable, in which there's a strong sense of community both within the organization, but also a sense of being part of a larger community, whether it's the surrounding neighborhood, the city, the state, or in fact, because there's a very strong environmental aspect of this, kind of being part of the world or the global community. And perhaps the most important of the major characteristics is what I call values-based leadership. These leaders, the CEOs of these companies, tend not to be celebrities. They tend not to be the kinds who reward themselves by paying themselves 500 or 600 times their average worker. Rather, they are people who are servant leaders, who are committed to the organizations in the long term. Mainly their compensation will be, say, in stock that cannot be, or stock options that can't be exercised for 5 years, so that there is, again, all that's mutually reinforcing to have this long-term orientation.
Is there anything new here in conscious capitalism that isn't in the triple bottom line and other enlightened self-interest and social responsibility, which we've talked about for years?
No, I don't think so. I think that what it has done is it has put a name on something. People were very uneasy about the word corporate social responsibility, and obviously philanthropy wasn't enough. The triple bottom line has been very important, but I think this sort of encompasses the best of all of those, and the success has really been because they put a name on it. It's become a structured movement, as opposed to just a bunch of individual corporations doing things kind of on their own, ideas that don't get disseminated. But now there's an effort to take these ideas and not only to introduce them into business schools, but also to involve and enlist other corporate executives to be part of this broader movement.
You and another of our colleagues, David Vogel at Berkeley, have looked at conscious capitalism and have made a number of suggestions that if you're going to sign up for this movement, what you ought to be aware of. Can you give us just a précis of that?
Yeah, well, first of all, almost all the things as we've just discussed have been around for a while. Most of these things are very good things. I mean, employee involvement in decision making, employee involvement in ownership, a commitment to the environment, the kinds of really ethical leadership in which the trust is created and a real bond in the organization. All these things are really marvelous. The problem with corporate capitalism, if it has one, has been the way in which it has been sold. It's the concept has somehow become associated with the idea that if you do good, you by definition will do well. That is, that if you are virtuous, you will get rich. The profits will flow directly out of good works. What we know from experience is that isn't true. Not that we don't want people to do good, but we should not go into doing something that is virtuous with the expectation that you're going to be fully rewarded for it in terms of big bucks this year.
So you need to know that there is an economic reality, that there are limits, but that you can do a lot of things if you're creative.
Yeah, and also too that a slight problem with the way conscious capitalism has been presented is that it is an alternative to government actions, and that you won't need any government. The self-regulating government and virtuous business people will by themselves lead to a state of justice. And we do know that there are some areas in which we need partnership with government, and some areas in which government regulation is needed. So I think that if we pay attention and don't treat conscious capitalism as an ideology, but rather as some general kinds of guidelines based upon some very broad ethical principles, I think it's going to be a fantastic thing. If it becomes just another ideology, that's the last thing we need in America today.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.